guys. I'm Kendrin.
What up, what up? It is Deja. How y'all doing, friends?
If you've never been here before, welcome. We do a cross section of pop culture in real life. We're here twice a week on Mondays and Thursdays. So if that sounds interesting to you, go ahead and subscribe to our channel and like this video in advance. Today, we are we're getting into some pop culture legal battles and
more drama.
my gosh.
So the Jenkins, that's his last name?
Oh boy, yes it is.
Black as hell.
Yes.
Jeezy and Jeannie are back in more court drama as they peruse through this damn divorce. And at this point, she's now alleging that there is child neglect was child neglect and domestic violence in their relationship. She cited a couple of times where he either verbally assaulted her and or physically assaulted her, and has all this proof to back it up between talking to the therapist and recounting these events, and then also having bodyguards step in to defend her in the incidences between the two of them. And also there's like I think she said that she had some sort of subhemorrhage contusion situation where he fisted her in the face. It's crazy.
I have an unpopular opinion about this.
It's getting ugly because, like, girl, okay, if this shit happened, okay. But, like,
I feel very bad. This whole situation is a mess. Let me just start there. I'm just like, of all the people for you to decide, yeah, you want to settle down with and have a child after you've been steadfastly against having children, you go pick a rapper? I mean, yes, he is moving out of that space. However,
but like we said some episodes back, even maybe a year or so ago, he used that relationship with her to legitimize himself as a different persona.
Well, we didn't agree to that because I don't think that that's true. But
shit, I do.
Okay. Well, I don't believe that that's true because I don't think he needed this relationship to have a different persona. I think he was already actively on the path of a different persona. He was definitely on the Sean Corey Carter.
That was the cherry on the top.
He was on the Sean Corey Carter path to, whatever. So, I didn't think he needed the relationship for that purpose. However, yeah, it was just like it was a peculiar choice, and all the details. I'm kind of like I don't really want to hear all this stuff, and I hate that it's turning out this way. It's just like feel like if you had sat with it just a few minutes longer, you know what I mean? What's next? So Trey Songz has settled a lawsuit from some of his carryings on. I think it's been a pretty open secret. He's sort of in the
abusers category, allegedly.
Yeah, like it's just an open secret that he has been carrying on.
Open secret is crazy.
I mean, that's what it's called. It's an open secret. That, he has been carrying on and committing all sorts of offenses against women throughout the industry, and it seems like somebody's actually finally holding him accountable.
Somebody's, I feel like, because they've been coming out over the last 10 years. Every so often, there'd be somebody popping up. She might be the only one that actually got any sort of settlement.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Like, she's the first person that I've heard of to actually hold him accountable in the realm of money, like money in hand.
There you go. So speaking of all these abusive people on this list, the next one up is in white people news. Harvey Weinstein's rape conviction got overturned, but it's only overturned specific to the state of New York.
Yeah.
He still has to go and deal with all the charges that were filed against him in California, and I think they said that he would still be facing up to 15 years in prison. So he's not really off the hook per se.
I heard about this. I think it's a daily episode, the daily podcast. I think they had an episode about this, and basically even like kind of the lawyers that have been looking at the situation are kind of like, the prosecutor did too much in terms of like just evidentiary rules and the things that they kind of let in shouldn't have been let in. And so it's basically off of, they probably couldn't have made a case without some of the stuff that they let in, which was maybe outside of the statute of limitations or whatever. But yeah, it was kind of like, if they didn't have enough on the basis of like what was in front of them, then they shouldn't have moved forward to the case. But you can't introduce all this stuff that's outside of the statute and all of that stuff to corroborate the story, or say it's like character witnesses when really you're using it to corroborate the story. Like, that's not how the federal rules of evidence work. And I don't know how all of them work, but that I know for sure.
In weird headline news, actor Laurence Fishburne's daughter, Montana Fishburn, sentenced to 2 years probation after slapping a police officer. This came by way of the Jasmine brand. I still don't understand, like, girl, in what world? Because she is brown, okay? In what world can we just haul off and slap police officers? Was the officer black? That's the thing that I did not. If y'all know more about this story, you get down in the comments and let me know. But that's the thing that I was wondering. I didn't see anything about who, or what this officer looked like. Because, like, girl, you should be glad that your ass is still here with the land of the living.
Yeah. Yeah, can't do that.
That's crazy. I'm like, oh,
Bro.
okay.
Yeah, man. All right, we got some headline news to cover.
Man,
Uh,
man, man.
the protests on college campuses regarding genocide of Palestine and all of the things.
We don't typically talk about stuff like this, but this week, watching all of these students uh across the nation at this point pop up and have like these protests, and they are peaceful protests, and watching the police just attacking citizens, watching snipers on buildings, like ready to attack these kids for doing shit that has happened since the inception of this country.
Yeah,
People have always protested in any form of fashion to get things done within the government, to get the eyes of the government, like, hey, this is not what the people are wanting. And so, like, it's just really, really frustrating and saddening to see that our youth are basically like just being beat to smithereens
yeah,
because of exercising their constitutional rights. It's nuts.
100%. And just by way of a little bit of context, the initial initial encampment and protests were really happening at Columbia University, and
Yeah.
once they started roughing them up, it spread throughout the country. Um, I don't know. It's just like, I don't understand why they did that. Like, I feel like it
Me
was
either.
perfectly
It's
foreseeable that,
excessive.
well, I just think it was foreseeable that this was going to spread. Like, if you take that action, it's going to spread. And also, a few words to the I think she's the president of Columbia, who went before Congress and did her little horse and pony show about what she was not going to do or what she was going to do and how she was going to be different from the deans from Harvard, I think, and I forget the other one.
Emerson, I think, that was the
No, it
other one.
wasn't. It wasn't Emerson. It was another Ivy. It was Harvard, and I forget the other one. Anyways, when they went before Congress, they didn't make plain what they considered to be language that would cause someone to get kicked out of school, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
And so she went there and did make it plain, like, I feel that that is clearly a line. And then they still calling for her resignation. So, like, what is it to you? Like, what? I mean, they still gonna call for your resignation either way. So you're never going to be able to handle the situation well enough for certain contingents of people. So it's like,
Mm-hmm.
girl, you might as well have to stood 10 toes down in the fact that this is a educational campus and we encourage the free, speech and exercise of our students.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know,
It's
that's
just
a whole
very
bunch.
infuriating to watch that happening juxtaposed with I think he's the Speaker of the House. I don't even know what his name is. But
Who, Kevin
him
McCarthy?
basically saying, I don't know, and don't care. This sounds terrible, but don't care. But he's basically saying that these protests are pro, like the harm of Jewish people. And we're like, no, that is not, like, you're bait and switching the thing here. You all are failing to realize that there's a group of people that are basically being obliterated in front of our eyes.
Yeah.
And you're trying to tell us that because we care about the human life of these people, that we're now we don't care about Jewish people. That's not what's
100%.
happening.
I totally agree with you. And this piggybacks a little bit. We didn't have this written down, but the TikTok ban that's been signed in by the president is like a lot of this goes hand in
So
hand
stupid.
because a lot of the reason, again, based on podcasts and stuff that I've listened to, it's the whole them feeling like the messaging around Jewish people and Israel is quite different, and that this younger generation feels differently, and they feel like that's propaganda that's been circulated on TikTok, and it's like, well, maybe they just feel different. Maybe the young people just feel different. How about that? Like that's possible too. Like
Hello, they
maybe
can
it's
think for
not
themselves.
propaganda. Maybe it's just that people feel differently than they used to.
Hello, and nobody is
maybe it just
saying.
affects them watching people get basically obliterated off of the map. Like maybe that just affects them in a different way,
That
and like
part.
on a human level,
Human decency.
regardless
Like,
of
where's
how
the
they feel about
humanity?
any of the politics of it all. Like maybe just human decency, them seeing that, they're just like, that don't feel right to me. That don't feel right to me.
Like, it's just, I don't even want to go down this rabbit hole per se, because like I said, we don't typically talk about these heavier stories. But that shit just struck me. Like, it was one thing for us to see it in 2020 with all the Black Lives Matter movements and all the police, brutality and carrying on at that time in 2020, but to then see it again and it's college kids. Like, these are kids.
Yeah.
At what point do you go to work and you say, okay, I know that this shit is my job as a officer or as a whatever it is that that is carrying out these orders? Like, this shit is not right. I know that this is what I need to do, but we're harming kids for doing absolutely nothing but standing on college grounds and basically exercising their rights. Like,
Yeah.
I'm supposed to be a person who takes care of the people, and now you got me out here harming them for
Yeah.
doing what they should be doing. This is what we teach our children that we can do here in this
Yeah.
country. It's crazy.
I've also heard people mention, and I hadn't really thought about it until I saw it. This is the class that started college in lockdown. So they started college virtually. So threatening them to like not have commencement and stuff, it's kind of like they didn't get their ceremonies, and they should be able
Hello?
to have their ceremonies, and they should also be allowed to have a difference of opinion from a previous generation.
Just saying. So
Just all right, let's move on.
anyway, moving on along. Kenneth Sharp. This, because it was close to home, being a RVA, former RVA resident, which is Richmond, Virginia. I don't understand how you unalive a person who is sleeping in their car. I
Well,
don't get it.
there's lawsuits in front of the Supreme Court right now. Not to take away from this man, like may he rest. That's awful.
As a kid, he's a kid. That's the
I'm sorry.
thing.
I'm sorry. I didn't know that. I didn't know that. Sorry, I didn't look that deep into the article. But to the kid, that's awful. That's even more awful. But there are definitely some cases before the court right now about whether homeless people have a right to sleep in public.
Oh,
And it's just
yeah.
like,
I'm gonna arrest them for being homeless.
and you're going to see, I imagine you're going to see an uptick of this kind of behavior because they're going to be criminalizing people sleeping out on the streets or in their cars or wherever, because that's the objective here.
It's really fucking crazy that you gonna basically penalize somebody for the fact that they are a disenfranchised human.
You know what? I saw this
Like,
commercial
what
the
the
other day.
fuck?
Yeah, I saw this commercial the other day and I was just like, that is dark. So the CEO of Kellogg's, this is off topic, but not really. The CEO of Kellogg's was basically like, we're in tough financial times, so we're going to see people using, cereal more. And I was thinking about it.
Girl.
What does that mean? And I'm like, wait, that means people are going to be eating cereal for dinner because they can't afford anything else. And that is a really shitty thing to say.
Hell, Kellogg, it was a whole TikTok like campaign to ban or yeah, I guess the word is ban. What is the word I'm looking for? Boycott. To boycott Kellogg products because they were telling people to eat cereal for dinner. And it's like, no, you just need to bring your prices down, bitch. Like, what are you talking about?
And it's not even just that. It's just the fact that people don't have a lot of options at this point. And it goes back to everything else that we were talking about sleeping in cars and on the sidewalk. People don't want to sleep on the sidewalk most of the time. It's like, it's an option of last resort. You know what I mean?
Girl.
And it's like glorifying eating cereal for dinner because you can't afford anything else is kind of a shitty thing to do. It's a shitty thing to say.
Which is why the white girls was like, we're gonna boycott Kellogg products. Let's keep it going strong. Let's hit them in their pockets. And I mean, it was working. She kept reporting. I can't remember the name of the creator, but she came up with it, and she was just like, she was looking at the reports about like Kellogg stock, and them doing this across TikTok. It dropped for a while. I haven't looked at it since. And I'm like, go ahead, girl.
Yeah.
Also, one of the youths. Like, shout out to the young white girls out here standing in the paint.
Yeah. All right. We got one more story. What have we?
This story is also a little bit crazy. Baltimore's athletic director arrested and charged after using an AI software to make racist recording of a principal. So I did not see, I did not see any. I know that it was on the news in this earlier last week, but I didn't get the full scope as to whether or not this principal was indeed racist, and so he was trying to like put him on Front Street, or like, but in order to do that, he used some AI or whatever to like basically put all the things in it that he's been saying. This is alleged, okay? This is what I'm trying to figure out, okay? Alleged, okay? But basically, what I think was happening, which I'm not for certain, like I said, is that he put all this together to say, like, this person is a problem. These are the reasons why. This is what he's been saying. But because he used this AI tool, like the deep fake type stuff, they're making it illegal, obviously. So he got arrested for it. I don't know. I feel like this story is also still developing because we'll see this goes going forward. But this also came from the Jasmine brand, so shout out to them.
Okay.
But yeah, crazy.
A little bit heavier an episode, but hey, it's important that we know all things that are going on in the world, not just the reality world or whatever else. So we have to pop in every now and again and do one of these. So anyways, drop down in the comments. Let us know what you think. Let us know if you have any other stories you'd like us to cover. In the meantime, like, comment, and subscribe, and we will catch you next time.
Bye.
Bye.